best management practices for forest managers and field workers. Forestry activities affect the spread of invasive species in two major ways. As a vector, seeds and plant parts hitchhike rides on vehicles, equipment, mud, and clothing. As a source of soil disturbance, exposed soil is an invitation to invasive plants to establish. To help prevent the spread of invasive species, there are 8 best practices for forest management activities. Your level of responsibility for each practice depends on your role. Let's have a look at each of the 8 best practices now. Incorporate known invasive plant sites into development plans and report new sites as they are discovered. Having a record of known invasives makes them easier to spot since you'll know what plants you're looking out for. A useful tool to check out is IAP, or the Invasive Alien Plant Program, the provincial government database that shows invasive plants and their locations in BC. See the link in the resources section. Avoid any infested sites for staging, parking, and log sorting. This applies to both the bush and storage yards. These areas are often infested with invasive plants. Vehicles, equipment, and logs can pick up plant parts and seeds and carry them to new locations. Work in uninfested sites before moving to infested sites. Schedule work activities to begin in the most pristine sites first and end in the most infested sites to help prevent invasive plant spread through equipment and vehicles. Clean equipment before moving to a new work site or region. This is important to avoid the risk of spreading plants to other locations. This is sometimes hard to do. If water is available, it's best to wash all equipment within existing infestations or at designated wash sites. If water is not available, inspect vehicles and equipment, remove plant parts, and knock off mud with a shovel, broom, or your boots. Remember to knock out your boot treads too. Inspect and ensure that fill and erosion control materials are free of invasive plants before transport and use. Only use clean materials such as gravel and other road building materials. Also, regularly inspect your material sources such as gravel pits for any invasive plants. If you can't find suitable clean materials, remove the infested portion of the material to a depth of 30 centimeters and use only the clean materials underneath. Minimize any unnecessary soil disturbance. Every cut made by bladed equipment into undisturbed soil and vegetation increases the likelihood of infestation. Maintain native vegetation as much as possible. Revegetate disturbed sites as soon as possible. Roads, bridges, landings, and trails are most likely to host invasive plants if not revegetated quickly. Establish ground cover in disturbed areas by seeding with mixtures that are free of weeds. Timing of seeding is critical for success. Spring and fall are recommended. Review the certificate of seed analysis to ensure the seed lot doesn't contain any contaminants. Planting large or fast-growing stock in cut blocks will also reduce the chance of invasive species taking over the area. Promptly control infestations resulting from forestry activities. Treat infestations along roadsides and landings. Removing invasive plants before they produce seeds will prevent years of efforts to remove them later on. It is important when controlling infestations to follow the proper legislation and safety measures. Contact the provincial invasive plant specialist in your area to determine the best treatment approach. To further your knowledge on these best practices, download the Best Practice Pocket Guide from bcinvasives.ca.